perimenopause. But before we start talking about perimenopause, let's talk about the normal menstrual cycle that was, so that we can better understand what is happening now. So we start counting the menstrual cycle on day 1 of bleeding. Bleeding is just part of the cycle, it's not the whole cycle. So day 1 of bleeding through day 5-ish is menses. Then we keep counting day 6, day 7, day 8 until about day 14, ovulation. That day 1 through day 14 is the follicular phase, and during this phase, FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone, is being sent from the brain to the ovaries, telling the ovaries to mature those follicles, get an egg ready to be sent out. Once we get around the time of day 14, the brain starts sending another hormone, the luteinizing hormone, and this encourages a follicle to finally release that egg. So in that follicular phase, as those follicles are maturing, we get a release of estrogen to help make that maturation process happen, but also to prepare the uterine lining. Once an egg has been released, now we're in the luteal phase, and now we start to see a rise in progesterone because the follicle that released the egg now becomes the corpus luteum, which is producing progesterone. And so we've got progesterone taking a nice big rise here. Estrogen's still working on that uterine lining. They're working together to maintain that uterine lining, getting it ready to hopefully house a baby. Now, as we go further and further along without that egg being fertilized, those hormones start to drop off. And as those hormones drop off, there's less maintenance of that uterine lining, and eventually leading to the shedding of that lining, which we're now back at day 1 of the menstrual cycle, starting with menses. Now, testosterone is playing a role in here too. It's not as big a player as the other two, but it does really come into play, especially around ovulation, for boosting mood, for boosting energy, and most importantly, libido. Because once that egg's out there ready to be released, it helps to have all 3 of those happening, getting that egg fertilized. So this is a general, again, idea of the menstrual cycle of what should be normal. And this doesn't take into account things like endometriosis, adenomyosis, PMOS, and of course every body is different too. So yours may be a little different, but this is just a general idea of how things were. And as we start to talk about perimenopause, it's good to know so we can understand the changes that begin happening.